Welcome back to Essential Dialogues. Today, we're doing a deep dive into some pretty big news out of Ethiopia.
Yeah, this is a fascinating one.
So the Ethiopian government just announced that they're bringing 8 major institutions under the control of this thing called the Ethiopian Investment Holding.
The Ethiopian Investment Holding. Right.
It's a lot to unpack, so we've got reports and analysis lined up to help us understand what this all means for Ethiopia's economic future. You ready to dive in?
Absolutely.
All right, so first off, what exactly are we talking about here? 8 institutions is a lot.
It is, and they're not small potatoes either. We're talking about the Postal Service, a huge engineering firm, the Railway Corporation.
Ethio Telecom too, right?
That's right, Ethio
yeah.
Telecom, plus pharmaceuticals, a maritime transport company, and even the Electric Power Corporation. This isn't just like shuffling some papers around. This is a massive consolidation of some of Ethiopia's most important assets.
It almost seems random at first glance,
Yeah.
What do all these things have in common?
Well, that's what makes it so interesting. On the surface, it's a really diverse portfolio. But the government's argument is that this consolidation will lead to more efficiency and attract foreign investment.
Okay, so it's all about streamlining and ultimately boosting the economy. That makes sense. But is that a realistic goal? I mean, these organizations have always operated independently. How do you just merge them like that?
That's the million-dollar question. On paper, centralized management could lead to better coordination and economies of scale.
I can see that, yeah.
For example, think about the Industrial Parks Development Corporation.
Right, they're responsible for building out those industrial zones.
Exactly. Now imagine if they could work hand in hand with the Ethio Engineering Group to offer investors ready-made infrastructure solutions.
Ah, so a one-stop shop for businesses looking to set up in Ethiopia. That could be appealing.
Exactly. And that kind of synergy is what the government is hoping for.
But there's got to be a downside, right? I mean, bringing all these different entities together under one roof, it sounds like a recipe for bureaucracy and a whole lot of red tape.
Oh, absolutely. That's a major concern. And it's not just about internal efficiency. There's also the question of transparency and accountability.
Yeah, good point. If you have all this power concentrated in one entity, how do you ensure that it's being used responsibly?
Right. Especially with something as sensitive as Ethio Telecom being in the mix. There are a lot of questions about potential privatization down the line and what that would mean for access and affordability.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a lot of potential here, both good and bad. It's almost like a high-risk, high-reward situation for the Ethiopian government.
That's a great way to put it. There are potential benefits, for sure, streamlined infrastructure, a more attractive investment climate, and maybe even some really innovative synergies between these institutions. But there are also some serious risks, bureaucratic hurdles, decreased accountability, and maybe even some unintended consequences that we can't foresee right now.
So the big question is, will the Ethiopian Investment Holding provide the leadership and the flexibility that these institutions need to thrive? Or will they get bogged down in bureaucracy and infighting?
Exactly. Only time will tell, but it's definitely a story we'll be following closely.
Today, we explored Ethiopia's ambitious move to consolidate its development institutions. Will this lead to increased efficiency and economic growth, or will challenges arise from managing such a diverse portfolio? Like, share, and subscribe to the Essential Dialogues podcast for more insightful deep dives into the news that matters.